Okay. That was weird. Just stopped outputting a signal, even though I was on, even though I am on Ethernet. There will be no camera. So let me, what can I do about no camera? I do something. There. Just go with that. Here and oh, no. We'll just do that. There you go. Perfect. Well, if folks can hear me, please let me know. I have no idea. I'm pretty sure I lost that intro, which is fine because it actually gets claimed. I just really like the Wild Arms intro. It's double posting for you, Dollar, but you are here. That's good. If you're hearing grinding, that is Spud. He is chewing on a chunk of wood. And if you hear Nami screeching at some point, it's because she is in heat, poor girl. But she seems to be calmer this morning, so maybe we won't deal with that. And I'll lead us up on to bed there. Camera isn't on for a couple reasons. One, I am disheveled and didn't feel like cleaning up. Two, the lighting situation in my room had to change. It was far too dark. I did a ton of cleaning over the last couple days and actually turned this place into something livable, particularly this room where I sleep. Made a big difference. But one of the differences is I had to change the type of light bulb. So I need to find a brighter daylight bulb to replace that before I get the cam back on, likely anyway, or else everything's going to be washed out in that ugly yellow. Which isn't the end of the world, I guess, but yeah. But yeah, that grinding, Spud. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, just want to hang for a few. I might do the cam at some point just to see what it looks like, play around. Got a few before I got to go to town, all that. So just here to hang. I do have coffee, even if you can't see it. It needs to take hold, though. Oh, what can I do? It just doesn't work. Oh, I know what I can do. I know exactly what I can do. Being goofy. Here. We'll do this. This is a good thing to do while you're stalling. Uh, yeah, it's that one. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I don't have any of my stuff. I don't even have my stream deck. Oh my god. Can I just press the buttons? Like, can I just press this and it'll work? No, I want you to press the real button. You bastards. Alright. Alright, so I gotta turn on some stuff manually. I'm not gonna do Robo Voice. I don't need that one per se. The only one I need is VoiceBot because I don't want to have to click on everything. Alright, then when you're awake, VoiceBot. Okay, there you go. You have to wake up. Alright. Display screen. Alright. Yeah, we don't need this because I'm not using that. Yes, launch. Oh, it updated. Okay, cool. Let's see if it'll actually like stay launched. This is a notoriously unintuitive. Well, no, it's very intuitive. It's it makes no sense why it'll just crash on me sometimes. It's not stable. That's the word. Wow, I haven't opened it since I did that. Yep, there you go. See, told you. Just crashes on me. It's an excellent program. Now it works very well for its purpose when it stays on. An error occurred. That's fine. Just turn on. Skip track. the skip track, and it just crashed again. There you go. See, it's weird. I want weird. Let's go with weird music. It fits with why this thing keeps crashing. Hold! Hold! Nope. We'll get it to work. We'll get it to work. And once we do, I will get my surrogate on the proper screen. That's the whole point of this right now. Super important. Needs to be done now. Okay. Just work. Just work. You can do it. You can do it. Just need that. Oh, yeah! Alright. Where's the background one? Man, I haven't done this for a while. Change background. Automatically. You can do it. Oh, well, let's go with that. Got some sweet, like, energy flowing off me. Yeah, perfect. Save as. PNG, please. Browse. Downloads is fine. Blah, blah, because it's only for emergencies, after all. Get out of here, Luffy and Jack. I don't need you anymore. Out of here. Get out of here. It's my time to shine. MH. BPMG, sure. I still know what that is. Browse. There you go, see? What's the difference? Nobody will ever know. No, let's go lower than that. Okay. There you go. Perfect. See? That's it. That's the perfect now. I don't know how perfect that is. Let's I can do better. I can do better. It's tough to cut. Oh, that'll work. I think that's even the right angle. Alright. Yeah, it'll work. Oh, it better be a PNG though. Yep, perfect. Nobody ever knows the difference. Perfect. There we go. We did kill Melania with a fucking glitch. That's so confusing to me. I don't know how that happened. It was a let down, but it happened. There we go, though. I needed a flatter angle hat, but that'll do. I mean, there's too many hats. I didn't know what to do. It's overwhelmed. Okay. We did the things. Gave myself a hat. I think we're good. Okay, so I gotta keep this mic closer. I gotta make that a reflex. Yeah. There was one thing I really want to talk about today. That's this sucker. Since Dollar is in the chat. Damn fine job again, man. Like, I don't usually get through articles. There's something about the format that, like, bothers me. Like, I've written my own, right, a couple times. Not a bunch or anything. and like I could get through that easier than reading them. Like I could write one easier than reading it. Um, but both of these that you've done have been just like knockout entertainment with like some good knowledge. Like they're very well structured. I am just like blown away. I'm super impressed with these articles. Um, you keep the entertainment flowing, you keep the words going, which duh. But anyway, I could gush for a while of like how impressed I am with the flow and such of these articles. Like I did, goddamn. But people definitely slept on this, which sucks because I remember you sharing it with me back in the day, Time Paradox Ghost Rider, and it was great, and then it got weird, and then it died. Um, and this talks about a lot of it. I don't really want to spoil it because I want people to read it because how you present it is exactly how it needed to be presented. So I'm hoping more people check it out. I'll be pushing it for a while. And maybe we'll talk about some specific parts in it. Or maybe I'll have you on and we can talk about specific parts on it one of these days. I know we need to also catch up and beat that dragon in Elden Ring. 2.5-headed dragon. Dragon Lord, I guess. But I've been cleaning. That's what I've been doing. It's actually been really good. I hope folks can tell. I feel better. Mood wise, I don't like. Again, I'm very disheveled. I haven't done my hair or face stuff or none of that today. But I am feeling better. Been a long period of time where I have not, and I've been walking a razor's edge on some stuff that's not so fun, and trying to adjust my perception of the work I do so that it's not overwhelming and I take pride in the good that comes from it to the point that it is not a soul-crushing gig. And it's working, but there's a lot of soul-crushing in it, and so that doesn't leave me with much creative, like, yay, let's go make something. It's more like, oh god, I'm tired. But nonetheless, let me throw this into chat real quick. Here's the link to the article. Anybody checks this out, go read that article. It's going to be way better than this stream. Been nudging Vince, so I'm going to have to start being maybe more open about my artist interactions for a few reasons. One, because they're more frustrating than I think people understand. Dollar Coins understands, but then maybe the general IronVerse Comics audience understands from a couple different points. And I try very hard to balance the give them space to make their best work with why isn't work happening. Because we could have had Jack issue number 4 out by the beginning of this month had Vince delivered. Now, it's not just on him, and there were many other aspects that may not have come through. For instance, we have another artist that does our graphics design, and if that took a while, for instance. It's one of the consistent struggles of maintaining a production team that you really appreciate and enjoy working with, but at the same time, the finances and consistency isn't there to break into a rhythm that would allow for expectations to go unspoken. And speaking to expectations is conflict in a lot of cases, and that's not an area which I excel whatsoever. But we should have some pages in this week, which something, thank goodness. But I would like one project I run to have expectations met or exceeded in terms of actual release and such. Quality always, which is great. Like, we've never compromised on the quality of releases. But we've always to not compromise on that, I've compromised on time frame, I've compromised on pay scale, I've compromised on a lot of things. It doesn't it should not be that way. That's another reason why I am taking a step back and seeing what the other teams over at IronVerse Comics can do this year, as well as trying to find a new space in which Jack can grow in a more open manner. And there's a lot of angles there. There's a few I'd prefer not to have to... there's a lot I'd like to retain from our previous releases and experiences and such. But there's a few caveats to that I would like to see addressed. Yeah, fun stuff. I'm sure it's a super serious talk with me and the tiny straw cowboy hat. What else? I don't know. I'm feeling better about the new year. So I think that's a good thing. I want to give a big thank you to everybody who helped get me my brakes on my truck. That has made a massive mental difference on me, and of course it's a safety difference, and it's allowed me to continue another gig, which helps with the finances. So I cannot express how grateful I am for the community around us. There's one particular individual, he knows who he is, that I am exceedingly grateful for, that he has continued to lend a hand when I've been knocked down. It's never expected, but it makes a massive difference for myself and my little family here. And that's families are something I think about a lot. And sure, my definition might not be the same as others. I think we all have different definitions there and what it means and how it resonates, but I think there's a core to it that's the same between most, if not all, folks. And that's the love and the care. And being able to honor that with my own responsibilities and feel okay and safe doing so is that's an important thing, and it means a lot to me. So that's part of it too. Just trying to figure out the work is part of it as well, because there's a smaller, perhaps more distant family involved in that, and I try to honor that, but I also need to get work done, and bleh. So there's so much to juggle, and that's again why I'm going to try and take a smaller step back, and hopefully also from some other obligations which have limited my mobility over these years with Jack Irons. I'm not sure what I want to do with that increased mobility next year. There's many options, but it don't matter until issue number 4 is in everybody's hands anyway. So I will let time pass and figure it out from there. I think I'm going to start ordering stuff here shortly, the merchandise stuff, just so that I have stuff to show you folks. Since lettering's taking longer, I was really hoping I can just kind of get all that done and then shipped. Like after the digital release, and we could have folks chatting about the digital release while we get printing going, and that's another possible stall that I'll have even less control over. Comics is a heck of a thing to run all the way through yourself, and not by yourself, but like to the pipeline. It's hard to manage. And I say hard. There are many other industries which are significantly harder that could even involve life and death, right? So it's everything's a matter of perspective and location and relativity, right? But It's a lot. It's a lot from for a relative. I'm not gonna call myself dumb, but I ain't the smartest individual out there. I tell you. Um, not great at the problem solving end. Now I want to check. Is it double check? I think it's just double linking to me, and it's not in chat for you folks. So that'd be great. Howdy, John Talk. Welcome, 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 welcome. Congrats on Girls with the Mega Fist. Girl with the Mega Fist. Issue 3, and I guess 1 through 3. Looking like you're going to break 10K well before the project ends. I hope you break 15, 20, 30. I hope you break 100K, brother. I know the potential is there. It's just tough. It's just tough, as you're saying. Let me check. I just want to see, because it's double posting in my OBS, and I'm just curious if it's double posting in chat as well, which it probably isn't. Oh no, it's not at all. Okay, good. So it's just me. All right. Just so you folks don't know I'm not a well. This won't prove I'm not insane, and honestly, nothing ever will. But it is double posting for me. See, that's why. That's all. Okay. All right. Well, now let me address it more directly. The entire process of making comics is intense. The pipeline and process it takes until you get a finished product is nuts. There's a lot of steps. It's a lot of moving parts and a lot of people, particularly if you work in a larger production team, right? There's a lot of things to manage and juggle and hope fit together in a timely manner, which has never really happened for our work. They fit together and they make an incredible product, but in a timely manner is not something you could really say about our work. And that's disappointing on many fronts and for probably many folks. But, work with what you got. And I don't know if the work we could do could be done any other way. So that's part of it as well. But things are moving. It's just slower than I'd like, as always. And I'm trying not to be to use too much of the boot and a lot more of the patience. I'm trying to learn more patience. It's with my other work, patience and respect go hand in hand, and respect is how you can do anything with a stranger, in this case a pup stranger, right? This is just a base level of mutual respect allows some very quiet miracles to happen in that work. So I'm trying to recognize that a lot of what I've been learning over the last, half decade with comics in general, but also with my animal work, is patience. I am a instant gratification kind of dude. And that goes for my art in many ways too. When I'm painting or writing, anybody who's worked with me doing scripts, right? Like I'll spend 3 or 4 hours and knock out a script, and then I'll be like, "Oh, it's done." No, Cody, patience, reworks, and so, and again with my painting as well. That's what I've been trying to move slower, and that's tough for me. It's just like, well, I know what needs to be done. I can make it happen. There, it's done. But within the time frame from point A to point B, there's technique, there's meditation, there's artistry. That's where the artistry is done, and to refine that is something I've been trying to work on. That's why I'm a more prolific reader than writer. It's a lot easier to binge something, right? And it's instant gratification. All the work's done. You just need to experience it, right? Whereas the artistry itself, it's more of a, I lack a discipline. I lack discipline. So I'm working on all of these things, and it's going to take time, and it's probably going to be tiny improvements. But I've noticed the improvements at my other work, which is good. Because that one directly affects living creatures instead of indirectly affecting living creatures, which is the artistry work. But it's a lot of things to juggle. It's a lot of things to juggle and to wait and or to weigh, I guess would be a better word to use, and to judge and decide and make choices off of. And all you can do is make them and then hope that you're making the right ones. And if you're not, that you didn't make one that's catastrophic. So far, I haven't made any catastrophic. Oh, now, Lita, you're going to do what he's doing and chew on that? Okay. But he's teething. It makes sense why he's chewing on things. You just want to feel involved, huh? What are you chewing on, little potato man? Okay. So yeah, I didn't have much to chat about. I did want to get maybe more in depth into, again, the awesome article Dollar Coins put out. God, was it just a day or two ago? That's not it. That's it. Because I think it is super inspiring for comic and manga creators, just the notes he hits and how he hits them. I think it is written really well. Again, the article, like, I don't read news articles. I don't read a lot of articles because they tend to be dry or far too self-indulgent in ways that aren't entertaining, right? Like a lot of I know best kind of stuff, like at least a vibe to it. Nope, not here. This is just like I'm sharing what I think. In an entertaining way. Man, I really appreciate it. I really recommend folks read this. Maybe when I'm more prepared, we'll do a deeper dive, or maybe I'll have Dollar on and we'll just talk about like what his process is in setting this up and the thoughts that he hits here. It's really well done. There's a lot of amazing excerpts from both Time Paradox Ghost Rider and Bakuman, as well as some really nice panels from Rouge. I think Innocent Rouge, but also Innocent itself. I think there was one maybe from it. I know Rouge deals more with the sister, and that quartering picture that he uses in this article is probably from that, because she's the one who actually allows the execution to kind of not just be torture, which is kind of a big discussion in Innocent period, is like the ethics of execution, which is also a fun thing I'm dealing with at work. Isn't that great? Because, fun fact, animal shelters did begin as, and the whole point of a humane society, they started as just making sure that people aren't just killing dogs in any random way they feel like to get rid of them, right? And so that's been a perspective that I've had to try and keep, because that energy, the founding energy of an industry or of a company or of a collaboration or any kind of collective work will linger on. There's just no escaping it, because it's what allowed it to exist. And so understanding that on everything from, again, small creative teamwork or single creative work, all the way up to multinational, international companies, understanding the genesis point, the spark, can help you understand the path, and then the path helps you understand the thing, right? So, yeah. That's been one of the roughest parts of this new gig, is understanding ethical euthanasia, quote unquote ethical, especially after you know the critters. And I got two polar directions of it over the last 2 months. Oh yeah, this song gets hit now. Oh wow, it's a great song. But anyway, that was a big tangent. But nonetheless, check out the article. It's a lot of fun. Oh, and what I was talking about, ethical. So yeah, there you go. That's actually one of the nicer panels you could have used from the series, Dollar. In terms of like showing what it is without it being as bad as it can get. So yeah, it's a very, very tactful article. Very well chosen, very well structured. Really appreciated it. So please, folks, check that out. I'm going to throw that link back into chat real quick. Just click on it. If you're a comic creator, check it out. It's worth your time. Might not say anything you don't already know, might introduce you to a work that you haven't read, which, like, Dollar Coins and I are the only ones who have ever really, like, I've had one guy recognize Sakamoto's art, but I've never had anybody else talk about Innocent and Innocent Rouge. And they are some of the, if not the, as he said, the most incredible piece of manga I've ever read. And so I've taken excerpts from an interview for him and posted those so people kind of understand or can try and understand what the thought process that he has going into manga is. He doesn't use onomatopoeia because he's like, well, I can show this thing, and as long as it's something they've experienced, their idea of it will be stronger than any big word appearing on the fucking screen, right? It's how he approaches manga with a massive amount of respect for the reader. This is really cool stuff. Innocence is the second. Okay. Because I know the American translation, instead of using the term rouge, they use the term blood. So yeah, it's. I really wish that was translated and printed in English. I would have that entire series on my shelf in a second. I'd take it over quite a few that I have here. I can get it in Spanish. I can get it in French. I can get it in German. But no, God forbid it's released in English. It's so weird. Bothers me. That's one series. I was like, needs to be released. Needs to be translated and released officially. But you know what? The fact that I could read it at all. Thank you, manga fans. Let's just say that. And them sweet, sweet fan dubbers. Let me see. I don't think I have anything else. Just kind of wanted to say howdy was the other bit, right? It's been a little bit, I think, a couple weeks almost. Oh, maybe not that long. I feel like, yeah, 4 days. Alright, that's not so bad. Yeah, that's not too bad. I guess last week my mic was weird, so I wonder if it's weird again today. I don't know. Obviously, it wasn't terribly weird, or else you guys probably would have let me know. Streaming's a weird beast. I've done a lot of live performance from plays, mainly music. Never had as much, not as much tech involved in either of those. I guess it's probably why. Not as much trouble. But yeah, nothing much else to discuss, folks. There are specific ideas within that article that are really nice, from understanding that you need a large toolkit in order to execute any idea properly. Otherwise, you're basically a baby doing finger painting, right? And instead of painting, the Mona Lisa or what have you. There's just specific tools that are still, and usually referred to as theory, because what I like about a lot with the arts is that they don't want to say there's only one way to do something, but there are some very specific ways to do things that are clearly better than others. And being a man who has eschewed, I think that's the word, eschewed, I don't know, I'm trying to remember how it's spelled, has avoided education in terms of rigid education procedures. That's another thing I need to kind of learn to respect. It's like, yeah, you can go off of raw talent. Not saying I got it. But it's only going to take you so far unless you're somehow magnificent, right? Like, you already know all these things innately. And there are some people like that, absolutely. But even they could refine their skills with proper technique. And that's something I've never been good at. Again, patience, discipline, and things I don't usually have too much of. It's definitely a resource that I need to build up on, and I've been trying. Um, but that was neat. Again, I would really just rather people rate. He presented them perfectly. I'm just regurgitating what I took away from it. It literally regurgitates. It's not good. Meowdy indeed, Eliza Barr. Meowdy. Uh, I don't have the camera on today. I don't even know what I look like. It was part of it, and my lighting situation changed because I wanted better lighting in my room, but I don't have daylight bulbs, so it would yellow everything. I bet there's filters to help correct that, but it would still be just unnatural. So it's also there's less pressure, honestly, when I'm not on camera. So just enjoy my cowboy hatted aesthetic there. Welcome, welcome. I hope you're doing well. I don't even think I did my intro. I don't think I did. I think I just dove into it. Howdy, Mr. Schmelly. Welcome, welcome. Still double posting in OBS for me. I wonder why. But it's not double posting anywhere else, so that's good. It's true. We live in a society, dollar coins. We live in a society. Okay, can I... it's just not the right angle. It's just not the right angle. That's the best thing. I can go full Jack Irons, right? I can do that. Who needs to see anything? But now we'll do that. Sure. Let's keep that going. I futzed around with AI art again for the first time in a while, and I posted a couple pieces, and then at least one of them got far more attention than any of the artwork from issue number 4 that I've posted recently. So that's fun. It adds to the interesting dilemma I have with that whole bit. But it was fun to futz around with it again. I hadn't done that for a while. The whole mess that is the comics industry and comics in general is something I need to approach from a different angle. And again, that's why I want to step back and see if I can take a step forward in a different direction with that step back. And I think so. But it's going to take time. It's going to take time. If you're hearing grinding again, it's the dog chewing on something. I can't do much about that. He's teething, and he needs to chew on things. I am doing okay today. Thank you. Coffee's wearing off, so my energy isn't as high as it was like 5 minutes ago. But I'm doing okay. Get to pick up something I've been looking forward to pick up for a little bit. I've been waiting for like a month to get delivered, so that's neat. Learned how to use a wet palette recently, which was kind of neat for painting. That was cool. Does make a difference, which I'm glad it does. Played a little bit of Civ 5 over the last few days. America almost swallowed me, but I was able to push them back. That was cool. Drank for the first time in a couple months a few days ago. It was a week ago, something like that. Worked out well enough. Feel like I watched something interesting. What did I watch? I did, though. What was it? Saw the new Puss. This is a long time. This is like weeks back now. It's not from that same line of thought, but new Puss in Boots is as good as people are saying. I really enjoyed it. I thought I was going to hate it, especially with the first song, but no, it's got a great structure to it, and even the annoying comic relief character is really well built. It was one of the best animated films I've seen in a while, especially in terms of like over the last couple years. Um, was that it? Yeah. Can't think of anything else that's like, oh, that was really good out of nowhere. Um, I watch a lot of YouTube. That's like the number one thing I watch. Watch things like Night Mind, Barely Sociable, and Atrocity Guide, and a lot of that darker stuff. Nexpo, I think I might have said. Um, I like the ARG stuff that Night Mind does quite a bit because it's a different way of approaching art in which it is a very active work of art, super active depending on how the ARG is set up. That's got me terribly interested. I just don't know how I'd set one up, but that's something I would like to try out one day, is to set one up properly and see if the grand, large, internet-based performance is something I really enjoy. I live in. Work ends up rough quite a bit. When you're dealing with such sweet creatures in such difficult circumstances, it's rough. It weighs on you. So I've been just doing what I can to keep that in perspective, to keep doing the good work I'm doing without it mentally destroying me. That's been a lot of the struggle over the last couple months. And I found a pace, a rhythm with it. But it's yeah. So how I'm doing, if I say honestly, it's complicated. But compared to how I could be doing, I'm doing very well. Got to adopt my little Spud Bud just a few days ago, so he's officially part of the family and 100% my responsibility, which is good. He was never going to leave this family. You'd have to pry him from my cold dead hands, as they'd say. He and his sister are just best of friends, and it's been a beautiful thing to watch. But they, same time, it's a huge weight, because now I also know what something happened to me where they end up. And there's some good folks there, but like the circumstance overall and what that is rough. Besides grief, right? Like I had just yesterday, we had a pup that was gone for a couple months. He was adopted by a young lady and their relatively rich father. So like a brindle pit bull mix, and his name's Cosmo, and young pup, maybe a year and a half, but full grown, but pup, very high energy, but super well intended, super sweet, not bitey, just kind of jumpy. And he got returned just I guess Saturday when I wasn't working, and saw him Sunday morning, and he did like seeing a creature like that break down. And it's not just like shut down, right? It's literally it's if you imagine a human breaking down, it's very similar energy. They can't cry, they don't have the tear ducts like we do, but the vibe is still there, and he just cried and cried with me. It's oh my god. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know why he's no longer with the family he thought he had. It's just a complicated, rough situation, and it's that kind of stuff I'm dealing with most days over at that gig, and it's tough. But if you can relieve it a little bit, that pup's gonna be there one way or another, right? Like that's how that situation's gonna be. So the better you can make it for them while they're stuck there, the best. That's the good work you can do. But anywho, it's complicated. It's complicated. Let me see. That'd be great, Mr. Schmeling. I'd love to see some more work from you. I would love to see that. Mentioned Civ 5, you 100%ed the Shivos, and it was absolutely miserable. I couldn't imagine, like, I just play to play it. This is my first like normal playthrough in a long time. I usually just play low level just to experience Civ. Like I don't even like play it for challenge or anything. I just like the Civ mechanics and playing with it. So this is the first time I played like on normal for a while, and I almost got crushed by America. Like it was bad. Russia, we're sharing a continent. I'm just hitting the seaborne age. I think we finally met all the civs. So the World Congress has been going on. First fucking thing the World Congress does is embargo me because I was the trade master. I was trading with everybody and was making the most money. Didn't do much. I still ended up making the most money. But now they just don't benefit off of what I can give them, which is fine. And then I had to kick the teeth into America when they came at my door again. I didn't think I could with the Cossacks primarily. That's the level. I think we just got to like Great War infantry, and I was sieging a couple American cities that weren't really American because they were Austrians. They were Austrian cities, which Austria helped America destroy Greece in that one. Alongside me, it was like a trifecta, and we just tore apart Greece and just kind of split it amongst each other. But as soon as we stopped that, he swallowed Austria, and then he tried to come at me, and I stopped him. And then it was Cold War for a little while, and then he's like, no, I'm going to kick your teeth in. I'm like twice your size. And I was like, yeah, it's probably going to kick my teeth in. But worked. So, yeah, it's fun. It's a fun game. I think I'm like 13 hours into that match. I like me some Civ 5. My hours on Steam are not accurate. I've played Civ 5 for... I've played a lot of Civ 5. But yeah, anywho. It's supposed to be random thoughts today, so I'm glad it's not lying to you. I don't ever have structure with this stuff anyway, but even less structure than usual today. It's just like random tangent after random tangent. But that's fine. Why does it think I'm not streaming? Okay, there it goes. That hat looks ridiculous. Let's give me a different hat. There's gotta be a better angled hat. Oh! Okay. That was a lot of symbols I pressed. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Might have to mirror it, but one of these will work. Just needs to be more level. It's a little bit too far to the right. I mirror that one, maybe? We'll go John Wayne. Sure, let's try John Wayne, but we'll just have to mirror it. Okay. No, that doesn't really work either. It's a little too far to the right. But sure, we'll go with that for a little bit. Yeah. I don't know if anybody has anything else to talk about. I don't pay attention to the news. I don't pay attention to comics news. I don't pay attention to gaming news for shit. A little bit with gaming news. I know the live service model is now finally hitting a peak of death, which is kind of nice. I really hope it dies. I think it is a terrible idea, and there's only so much time a person has to invest into something. And with the mobile market already being like, oh, give us all your time, even if you're not really playing us. I don't know. I like seeing bad ideas from big corporations die horribly. I don't think I'm the only one. Needs help in elderly. He needs our parents' credit. I need everybody's credit card information just to verify that you're not a robot, right? I'm pretty sure that's how this works. Discovered plenty of European comics recently. There is so much more than expected. Seems they don't make it all into the U.S. market. Like none make it into the U.S. I can almost guarantee it. So we see being in indies and in the U.S. indie market, whether or not people would acknowledge I'm in there, um, there are so many comics. There are so many. There are so many comics that it's impossible to know all the comics. It is impossible. You could dedicate your life and get paid for it, and you would fail at your job. It's not possible. There are so many comics because human creativity is limitless, and comics is a beautiful medium in which to express that creativity. So, like, that's globally, except for some cultures where it's less acceptable to spend your time doing that kind of thing, right? Um, but yeah, I would not expect the European market to fall short um, in terms of amount of creativity, like at all. Especially since they have a bit more of a respect for the medium, particularly in France, but and England as well. England's done quite a few, and I know Germany as well. Like all the big, very old powers over there, they have a respect for art. It's just kind of mainly because it was a dick waving contest forever, but nonetheless, it built into the culture and is a good thing. Again, if folks haven't read this article, buy our ever incredible dollar coins. It is very much worth a read. It is inspiring. It tackles a few manga that I doubt you folks have checked out, and frames it in the way of like a beautiful discussion about what it is and what it means to really excel as a comic book creator. So check it out. I just threw the link in chat there. Part of why I'm doing this stream is to shill this article because I loved it so much. Yes, there's some bias because he's my brother and my IronVerse Comics co-editor, and I just love seeing his expressions. But it's a really fun read. It's a fun read. It's an inspiring read. It is a well thought out and well structured read. Please read it. Give him your feedback or just enjoy it. Whatever. Check it out. Link in chat on the Weebs Guild. Check it out. All right. Pitch is done. I need to finish this coffee before it is ice. Oh, other reason I'm doing better. It's not as cold. My God, it has been so cold. It's been like your hands start to frost over almost outside cold for like months here. And that just destroys my mood because not only is it more expensive to live because of that, that's been rough. Propane and electricity. Like I can't hang out with the dogs outside as easily, and that one breaks my heart when I got this little puppy that just wants to play outside with his sister, and they're comfortable, and I'm just like freezing my ass off in some of my thickest winter clothes. Same with my work, right? It's tougher. So actually getting some sun, that's another one. Like getting that vitamin D and getting the rays from the sun has been incredibly helpful for my mental fortitude. Yeah. So that's another reason why I'm picking up, and I hope it lasts. I know I go through like manic depressive phases, so this might be on the uptick of that, which fine, I'll take it. But I'm hopeful it's more of a you're breathing, it's okay. But we'll see. That is a bird. That is a bird, right there. That's me waking up every morning. That's what that is. Okay. Oh, I guess technically this is me waking up every morning. Okay. I'm really rambling, but that's today. I'm okay. Is that a tiny baby Hellboy? That's pretty neat. I like it. Keep seeing more Alita commissions, which is great because honestly, after the movie came out, after a while, sadly its energy died, which sucks because not only was it a really good adaptation compared to many quote unquote comic book or manga. I think it's probably the best live action manga adaptation. Um, but it's also like just a there's not I haven't come across a better long form discussion on the ship of what was it, the ship of Theseus concept ever. I'm not that well read in older texts, so I'm sure there's something better written. But in terms of like comic books, no. And there's been a lot that have dealt with transhumanism or the cyberpunk angle or all of these things. And Alita actually tries to tackle the idea of how many parts you can replace and still remain the same thing from every conceivable angle: biological, technological, psychological, spiritually. Um, it tries to hit it from every angle, and it gives you a fun, gory, sometimes sexy action comic while it's doing it. It's really cool. It's really cool. Um, Tahiti. We did get to go to Tahiti. That weird mark. Man, there's so every campaign is such a weird journey for me, man. Trying to get that son of a bitch funded every time, and it's just the last two. It's been like, yeah, you gave it a lot of work. You tried hard. Look how close you got. I'm like, yeah, I gave it a good go. Oh yeah, I gave it a good go. And then last day, it's like, no, you're gonna do it. I'm like, oh, okay, let's do it. Oh yeah. What you gotta say, Spud? Oh, Spud dog. What? You kids are actually really behaving stuck in this smaller room, which is much cheaper to heat than the house. So thank you, kids. Let me look. What has to happen is to positively point at alternative people to discover Comic Street. No need to dwell on everything that doesn't function. Yep. Seeing the rise of global comics over the last year, 2 years, I guess it's been, has been incredible. It shows that there is a hunger not only for a creator-focused platform, which was obvious, and I think is why they've grown so quickly, but also for the readership. And I hope their app, once that launches, allows them to reach towards readers as well, and the back library of both new and exciting webcomic stuff from smaller creators and larger creators, but non-industrial creators, I guess, as well as established industry properties on that platform, so that you can go read your Witchblade, or you can go read, your Top Cow projects, or your old back issues of Heavy Metal on there. I think that has been a great concept. Their partnership with SourcePoint Press, where they're going to offer print on demand, so suddenly all these webcomic creators and stuff can actually take a lot of this pipeline that I've experienced and many other my creator friends have experienced, going from your finished work to the finish line and fulfillment and all that. It can take that pain off of it. There's going to be a price, of course, in terms of like how much it's worth, and how much you actually have to charge for it, all that fun stuff. There's a price, but I think that could open up some incredible avenues for some people to make a living off of their work, and I'm really hopeful that that happens. But I'm glad, Elizbar, that the mic sounds better. I don't know why it would, but I'm glad it does. You're being very cuddly, Lita. I don't know why. Appreciate cuddly Lita, though. All right, kid. Yeah. Okay. Hi, bud. Hi, Potato Man. All right. Yeah. I'm just excited. So we hit an hour mark. I can make these go as long or as short, basically, as I want, because replays aren't really a thing with my channel. I just don't know what else to chat about. I do need to. It's talking about the heating, so I got to call the propane company and spend another $350 for 100 gallons of propane. That's fun. Hopefully it lasts longer this time. F&A, this last one only lasted a little over a month. which I'm hoping I don't have a leak or some bullshit. And I haven't really been running it very heavily, so I don't know why it's. Life, man. There's so many angles to approach, and I'm just one dude. It's a lot of things. But hey, if I can keep the gears turning and the motor running and all that fun stuff, even if I've got to suck up pride and ask for help here and there, I'm going to do it. I've got a animal family to keep safe and alive and happy. I've got a personage myself to do the same, so I'm working at it. I'm working at it. Howdy, Scott! Welcome, welcome. I have an electric heater. That's the other angle. So it's like, that's what I was talking about. It's easier to heat this room because it's significantly smaller than the living room, which is where the pups want to play. Which, again, that bothers me. I have to balance that. But it doesn't bother me that they want to play out there. It bothers me that I can't maintain that easily without sacrifice. It sucks. Because they deserve a good spot. But that's why I'm so happy it's warming up. So I can be outside. But yeah. Howdy, Scott. Welcome, 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 welcome. The Recluse is coming folks' way. I'm going to go ahead and plug this again. Please read this article. Do it. It's from our ever incredible dollar coins. And as a comic creator, it is very much worth your time to read. I found it inspiring, thought-provoking, and incredibly entertaining, as an article should be. Which, shows how much I read. Maybe there's a lot of that, but I also don't think there is. So please check that out. Link in chat. Let me see, is there anything else in here? Oh, Scott sent me something. I don't know if I can show it, but I'm gonna look at it. Oh, we got rough. So no, I can't. Oh. We got two big roughs that I'm just going to be like, yeah, these are cool. So we got a new page in that is the line work and the panel work. I would say the outline work. It's the blue lines. It's the... looks like she does her thumbnails very cleanly. And then she'll ink over those thumbnails if I had to look at her process. Very cool. And then we got the cover mock-up. Which I can't show. So, folks just gotta have to imagine how badass it is, because, it's badass. Let's see. Anything else important? Big congratulations to, John Talk was here earlier again, girl with the mega fist, hitting a 8,500, I think. I'm thinking he's going to at least clear 10K this campaign, so congrats on that. I'm betting he could do more, depending on how the fates shine upon him. Congrats to Mrs. H for nearly hitting a K. She might have hit a K by now. In fact, let's check on that. There you are, miss. Hi, Lita. I know you want to... You're too cute. There's the link. Okay. Let's look. Skip track, please. Skip track. See, if I ask nicely, he won't do it. She's almost there. $25. $25 to 1K. So congrats on her for that. It's tough starting from the ground up. She works so hard on so many different projects. You can tell she absolutely adores the medium, and that she's very dedicated to getting the work out. That's so cool to see. So cool to see. I'll throw that link in chat too, in case anybody wants to either share it around or hasn't backed yet and wants to check it out and see if it's something for them. So link in chat for The Adventures of Captain Orange #2. I think you can get #1 as well. But yeah, check it out. So cool, she's almost there. Almost there. Be great to get her over a K. Be great to get her much further than that. She deserves all that and more. Do hope for some print-on-demand offers on Amazon for more creators. Worked like a charm for Common America and Iconic Comics. There's so many angles. So, depending on your relationships with your network for how you get this work out, changes that. Iconic Comics was founded from the very basis to solve the issues of the crowdfunding market. So Mr. Lim has stated that many times. He had a well-off friend who asked that question. He saw the success they were kind of seeing, and he liked Tim's art and what he does. And he's like, well, what's the biggest problem that needs to be solved? And it was fulfillment, no question. And so that's why Iconic Comics has covered so many of these holes. And then you go to the creative teams where Tim and Mark work very hard so that they consistently have a presence. The other bit is, and it's something that I will always struggle with because it's just not part of my makeup, is they try to walk a very fine line with sex appeal. It's gotten thicker over the years. I think Tim has made more compromises on that front, perhaps, than maybe he intended to begin with, but it works. So good on them. That's something that I never appeals to me. But that doesn't mean it's a negative thing, because it does appeal to what's your demographic as a comic book creator, period. Your demographic ends up usually being men of, between 18 and 35, right? It's the general mainstream demographic. That ends up being primarily your bit. You can hit a couple other niches and all of that, but if you're doing superhero comics, that's what you're hitting. It's not even kids anymore. So a little bit of sex appeal is going to help, period. If you go too far, it can turn some weirdos like myself off, which a lot of bad girl comics do for me, particularly because I've had negative interactions with those kind of creators. But there's also just, it's not part of my makeup. I'm not But is Global Comics still working on a print on demand? As far as I'm aware, yes. They've never walked that back, and their partnership was SourcePoint Press and I believe Oxeye Media, which is it's also SourcePoint Press, but it's like the label that they do other things over, and SourcePoint Press is under that label. I'm sure there's terms for that. It's like the media holding company which owns SourcePoint, but it's also run by the same people, because it's indie comics, and no corporation from heavy metal, Top Cow, even Image is as big as you would think they are. It's very few people, honestly. So anyway, yeah, as far as I'm aware, yes, absolutely. And I think that would be a wonderful angle for us to explore at IronVerse Comics once that hits. There's a few other angles. There's things I want to do, but I need the breadth and space to be able to do it with Jack, but we have far more mobility with other IP. So, it'd be very cool. I am also curiously optimistic. I went to the first town hall meeting that they did, I listened to, tried to participate in, but I hate Twitter Spaces. It's so terribly unintuitive. It'll open itself up twice if you open up the wrong way and you try to become a speaker. I do not like Twitter Spaces. But I was able to listen to that one and kind of, because basically any business venture I at least want to meet or hear or experience, I guess would be the best word, any potential partner in that kind of work. And I wanted to hear from the SourcePoint Press guy. And I don't know. It wasn't terribly, heartening. It wasn't like, oh man, yes, this is excellent. But at the same time, it wasn't bad. It wasn't dry, I wouldn't even say. It's just like, if I was an investor and that was the pitch, I would need another pitch. It wouldn't have been all like, no, I don't want to work with this guy, but it was also not like, I have to work with this guy. That's the best I could say. So I would actually really like to see how it moves, the actual manifestation, because that's the only other thing that could win me over compared to the individuals themselves. So yeah. It's sadly a large issue for anyone overseas. Yep. Printing, shipping costs are absolutely insane. You should be working in a different industry in most cases if you want to ship overseas, because at least then it's worth the cost in most cases. Shipping a book, or particularly like a floppy, if you were just doing it as a business and not running a crowdfunding campaign, it's dumb. You shouldn't do it. It's just not. You have to have crazy fans to think about doing it. What are you chewing on there, buddy? Lita, did you have it? Somebody has it. You hiding it in your mouth, buddy? What'd you just do? Where'd the thing go that you were chewing on? You better not have eaten it. It did not look like food. Ah, puppy. Well, we'll see how that goes. Ate something. I don't know what it was. Goofball. Roll, at least? No. It was there and then it's gone. I don't know what. Better not have eaten that. I don't know what that was. Goofball. That's the problem too, is doing this stuff. Like, I don't have time to stream anymore because I have to constantly, when I'm home, watch this guy, or I have to cage him up. And I don't like caging dogs. Until he grows up and can be trusted. There's that kind of stuff too that's been annoying. Or you can get someone who lives in the other country to handle shipping. In a normal industry, this is known as distribution because it's cheaper to send one big box Brit than 27 Gemini mailers. Yes, that is very true. And theoretically, a lot of projects, I'm not going to say a lot, I don't know. But one of the standards was that. I know, for instance, Rags has tried that with... you can even get it, printed in that country, right? So the shipping's even different. But they've tried working with a French press as well as an Arctic press, right? I know there's a lot of... Again, I'm using the term a lot. I've heard of independent projects that publish in the U.S., and they have one particular publisher in the U.S., and they will have a second publisher in Europe, for instance. And they're different markets, and they're marketed different, and they're sold differently, but that is how that is done so that it is profitable in any kind of form. Because digital currency takes no money, basically, to move except through, Stripe, PayPal, whatever. But otherwise, yeah, it's ridiculous. The fact that our projects have pulled it off at all, let alone as many times as we have, is crazy. And shouldn't be possible. There's a lot of stuff. Was it? Yeah, I heard there was a lot of trouble with that, though, as well, Isbar. You are correct. But that is a possibility, right? Like, I'm not saying it was a good one. I don't pay attention to it. But, Spud, Potato Man, stop looking for stuff to eat. You ate already. Just chew on the things you're supposed to chew on. How about that? How about that? Huh? Yeah, you. Talking to you. Okay. But yeah, that's something that I would love to solve as well. But this is not something like, I would hope I'm capable of solving down the line, or someone within our team is capable of, or an additional member to the team is capable of solving, or the interest in the work is high enough somewhere that can be solved. But so far, like, we have enough overseas folks who are willing to pay to get that. So it hasn't been a problem It's been a speed bump, right? But it is a problem overall if you're looking for wide acceptance of an intellectual property, which everyone is looking for these days. Everyone. That's the other thing, is that there's just too much. You have to be very lucky or very skillful, likely a combination of both, to have a shot at profitable success in physical comics. In digital comics, you still need that, right? You need the right place, and you need the right work. But the profitability scale's a little different. It's more like working on YouTube, right? Which is similar factors. So I don't know. One of my, if not my favorite IP of all time is Warhammer 40k. And they are built on three things technically. Really good models, a fantastic set of world building backed up by countless literary works of high quality, both in comics and just the Black Library, they call it, their publishing wing. Um, and a tabletop game, right? That's what they were built on, and then they've kept that going consistently long enough that they've branched into video games because the IP is super iconic looking. It's great art style. Um, and so much so that Disney ripped it off Disney Pixar kind of ripped it off for Buzz Lightyear. But they also have become more pricks lately because they know how much their IP is worth now, and even Disney's like, yeah, let's swallow that, even though it is like the most fascist IP. I mean, you look at the Empire from Star Wars, it's like, yeah, that's pretty fascist. And they're parading that around Disneyland, and they're totally cool with that, as long as it doesn't have, like, genocide, except they blew up a planet. But that's okay, because it's so fantastical. Yeah, 40K, like, death camps are, like, that's a nice thing in 40K. So I'm very surprised Disney bought that. Like, if there was any IP that would corrupt their brand back in the day, what it meant to be their brand, it was 40K. And I've been reading their comics. But anyway, the point is, that IP is very unique for doing that. D&D is an IP as well, right? It's how D&D did it was very different, and 40K had this problem. I think it was amazing, but that it spawned such dedication and fantastic love for the lore and for the setting and for the game and the experience, the hobby, and the people involved, D&D and 40K both, that fan works were inevitable. With D&D, they had amazingly successful giant podcasts and basically campaign sharing experiences that they wanted a chunk of that. And we just saw that nightmare go down with their OGL, that they were like, oh, we'll push it. Oh, it was a mistake. Oh, we will refine it. Oh, okay, we're not going to do it. That was so fun to watch. Sucks for them, but it's so fun to watch a corporation try and do that. With 40K, they did the same thing, except 40K, being smaller, was able to. Games Workshop was able to. So what they did is 40K has inspired so many amazing fan animations that were making tens of millions of views and spreading awareness and the joy and love of this IP. They're like, yeah, no, we're going to buy up the most popular one, and then we're going to limit and sue anybody who does this otherwise. I think they relented a little bit thanks to the If the Emperor Had Text-to-Speech creator. I think he kicked up the most noise. And so they relented and let him keep his channel, and they've kind of slowed down on that. But they did buy up the guy who did, oh god, what was that called? Oh, I don't remember, but this wonderful fan animation studio, basically, that was just doing Games Workshop fan stuff. Because the IP is that fucking badass that an entire set of amazing creators will do the shit for free. So that was neat that they were paid them and made them official part of Games Workshop, right? That's really cool. We've seen that with modding communities, particularly the Bethesda one as well, where they've been struggling with trying to wrangle in fan creations because of the joy that their IP has created, and they want a chunk of it. It's a hell of a thing, and I would love to have that problem over here at IronVerse Comics, no question. I'd love to have that problem. Quote-unquote problem. I don't think it's a problem. I think it is glorious. But the whole factor of that, anyway, is that it's a weird time we live in for intellectual properties and the fandoms of those, and trying to create new things in a nostalgia-driven entertainment industry, as well as trying to everyone trying to do the same shit. I think creating a universe should be built in a particular way, and I've mirrored a lot of Games Workshop's way of building 40K with IronVerse Comics, because I love that way, and I think it can fit into many different boxes instead of just fascist science fiction. Honestly, and we got chunks of that in IronVerse Comics because you gotta homage that. It's part of why it built so well. But there's a lot of really beautiful ideas discussed in the hundreds and hundreds of novels of the Black Library. it's built on overpriced. Oh, the squats are back, Elizabeth. They are now called the League of Votan. Um, I know nothing of their lore. I were about to hit 10th edition on 40K, the game, and in 8th, they finally moved the universe a couple steps, which they do very rarely. And they woke up a Primarch. They brought the squats back in, which again they're called the League of Votan now because squats is insensitive. Which it's a little insensitive. I'm not gonna lie, but so is the term dwarf. So whatever, they're space dwarves. But yeah, squats are back. Squats are back. They're no longer part of the Astra Militarum, which was the Imperial Guard. So that's also been the movements the Game Workshop has done for a while, is like any terms that they couldn't actually outright buy, they just invent new ones. Like, they couldn't buy the term Space Marine. So they're like, okay, Adeptus Astartes. Okay. They couldn't buy the term dwarf, right? So the whole Age of Sigmar reboot for Warhammer Fantasy, which was always a little less popular than Warhammer 40K, but always super important and was beloved and still had people paying thousands of dollars and spending hundreds and hundreds of hours playing their games and making their miniatures and learning how to paint and all these fun, beautiful experiences that they fostered. Diving into the lore, reading their amazing array of stories. So I don't remember what they called them, but they're dwarves, but they're not called that anymore because they couldn't do it. Imperial Guard. It's like, oh, well, you can't call them that anymore, so they're the Astra Militarum, but we'll still have them kind of called that. Same thing with Space Marines. They're still called Space Marines, but they're the Adeptus Astartes for license, right? So they could sue. They got money grubby to survive, and it's always been money grubby. Their overpriced plastic is crazy, but they do have the highest standard of molding in the industry, which is not always that great. It really isn't, particularly when they were doing Citadel Finecast, where they were doing basically 3D prints, right? They were doing resin prints, and really bad, really weak for modeling, very easily breakable. There was some fun stuff you could do with it because it's resin, so you could heat it up and move it a little bit easier if you wanted to customize your model more, right? I'm an orc player, not primarily. I'm a Space Marine player primarily. They got me by the balls with that one. But I love the orc modeling bit because part of their makeup is whatever they believe exists if there's enough of them around. It's just part of their psychic energy, right? And so you could literally staple things together as part of their aesthetic. Shit's just hammered together and it works. And it should work. They don't know how it works. They don't know why it works. They just know it should work, so it works. There's so many really cool bits of lore in 40K. And some wonderful thoughts that have been expressed and thought over and mulled over for, again, many novels and stories and audio dramas. Like, it is a massive universe you can spend hours diving into and finding amazing characters to fall in love with and characteristics of factions and stuff that are just so cool. But overpriced plastic is definitely the backbone of their plastic and resin, and it was metal for a while, is the backbone of their stuff. Red ones go faster. They do, just because they're red. Straight up. There's enough of them there believing it. Red makes them go faster, and it's a gameplay mechanic most of the time, too. Which is always fun. Like, a regular orc truck will go 12, but if it's red, it'll go 13 inches, right? just little shit like that is so fun. I don't know. It's dumb, too, but it's so fun. I've played a good amount of 40K. It's a story generator as well, the tabletop. You get your own stories, you get these moments determined by the dice and the degree of how the roll went. That kind of gives you an idea how the actual interaction or the combat went or the movement went. You'll have those failures where you try to do something that should be really epic and it doesn't work, or you try to do something that shouldn't work and would be really epic if it did, and it does. Like, it is my favorite IP. I can't think of another one I enjoy more, like, from every facet except for the price. It is
unbelievably expensive of a hobby for just little plastic things. I mean, even the paints. I work with cheap paint, which doesn't look great, but you can do some good work with it. You can work around it like any kind of tool, right? You can use a lower end of it and just work harder with it, and it'll come out pretty good. Um, but how can they be back? They literally got eaten by the Tyranids. Yeah, it's probably retconned. My guess is they were. There's always periods in the Imperium of Man where the warp storms isolate systems, and so the Imperium doesn't even think that system exists anymore. And so that's my guess, Elias Bar, is that it was a set of worlds that were isolated from even that empire of the squats that the Imperium just forgot because it's the fucking Imperium and there are billions upon billions upon billions of worlds that they just aren't like aware of. It's a good plot hole fix. It's a patch, but yeah, they are back. Let me see, Leagues of Votan. They're basically dwarf space marines instead of just people, which is what they were. They're just people who lived on a higher gravity planet, so it squished them. I thought that was great. Um, but now I think that's still the thing. I don't really like their design either. A lot of the new factions they've put in since 8th edition, except for the Inari, which is the collective death god worshipping elves. So you get your dark elves in there, you get your regular Eldar, and then you have this faction Inari, who's all of them, um, trying to awaken the death god so that they can kill Slanesh, who devours every elf soul if they're not properly taken. But let me see. Yeah, here's the Leagues of Votan. Confederation species of squat. No, they're still calling them squat. That's cool. Powerfully built abhuman clones. Oh, okay. They're like clone squats. Which makes sense because I don't think there's any dwarf ladies. Oh, that's kind of hilarious. So it was probably a planet like... there's so many angles. So the Death Corps of Krieg are an Imperial Guard faction based on World War One Germany, basically. But they nuked themselves into oblivion. That's why they wear their gas masks. That's why it's so iconic. But it turns out they're also clones. They're clones of the dude who was willing to nuke their planet to existence, to basically barren wasteland in the name of the Emperor rather than give it up. So it's like the super loyal standing. So like, okay. But they pretend they don't know because cloning's illegal in the Imperium. It's heresy. But since the Death Corps of Krieg are so insanely fanatical that they will run man after man into the same machine gun fire until that gun runs out of bullets, that they're willing to keep it. So I'm guessing this is also cloning like that, but it's probably not as dirty and quick as the Death Corps of Krieg. Um, Long March mining fleet sent out by pre-imperial Old Earth, thus making they are abhuman, which like the Ogren, which are their ogres, right? Courageous or determined as the kin. And they want to call them the kin instead of squats, because Games Workshop is now Disney. So they're trying to twist that stuff a little bit gentler, which is funny because again we still have the Hellraiser elves, the Drukhari, which they call them now instead of Dark Eldar, because Eldar is a Tolkienian term. Which they can't license, they could license, but they're not going to pay for it, so they just call them something else. Call them the Drew Carey. But they are rape elves. They are rape and slave elves. They are the most evil faction in 40k, and they are literally the opposite of Disney. But it's whatever. Well, the mask Disney puts on, they are much closer to Disney's heart. But yeah, history. First ancestors. Holds, living, working in the core, beyond the core, anatomy, society, notable truths. The Votan returning to the ancestors, is that it? It's just more lore. I just want to see when they were rediscovered by the Imperium. Because as you said, the original squats, their planet was eaten by the Tyranids. Really? Game history, maybe. Explore the riches of the galactic core and overcome the perils of that region, yada yada yada. The kin, the squats. They really are trying to change that. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. They're dwarves. Uh-huh. The ancestors must avoid the darkness between the stars. I guess the ancestors are the first humans pre what is it? I'm guessing these guys were separated before the Age of Apostasy, which is when the Emperor went from atheistic figurehead, which is what he always wanted to be, to literally being the God Emperor of mankind. That'd be my guess, because they don't seem to be as crazy. To don the armor of faith, yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, they're pre Age of Apostasy. Almost certainly pre-Imperial Terra, yeah, during the Age of Technology. That's the term I was looking for. Basically, there was a Terminator thing that happened to humanity before the Emperor really took over, and that's what just made the Emperor decide to act. Was like, oh, AI almost killed us. Well, I better actually steer this thing, since they ain't steering it right. There's a Demiurge. Man, again, this... You jump into one hole in 40K, it opens up a flood of places to check out. That's why I love their lore so much. The Age of the Men of Iron, yes, exactly. The Terminator Core, the Age of Strife. Again, 40K lore is so deep and thorough and endlessly well thought out in terms of what the ideas are trying to communicate and then fitting it together into a puzzle. It very rarely contradicts itself, though it can do that. Usually they retcon is when there's contradictions, and this is one of them that I'm sure there's contradiction. I just don't see, like, my guess is they may have just retconned that, because I don't see them talking about it. I don't see them, like, joining the Imperium, and they totally did join the Imperium all of a sudden after the new Maelstrom Maledictus, I guess, is from 8th edition, where the galaxy literally was ripped in half by Abaddon's latest 13th Crusade, so it's probably like the 16th Crusade, but he likes that number because it's evil. The Fall of Acadia and all that ripped up this massive section of the universe and cut it into... Now there's the Imperium Noctis, the Night Imperium, the one that's disconnected from the Imperial Throne, and the Psychic Beacon. What the fuck is that called? Basically, why the Emperor keeps himself alive over 10,000 years is just so that humanity can guide themselves among the stars. There's so much epic stuff. I'm a massive 40K fan. Sorry. The Thunder Warriors. Yep, the barbarian horde that he took to the top of a mountain and slaughtered. So, oh, you guys are no longer useful. I'm done with you. Again, a super fascist. He's like, well, humanity needs a fascist to survive. But we'll just make sure that there's no, like, realness to the fascism. It's good fascism. Don't worry. And sooner or later, like every good commie, I'll give up this power and humanity. Thank you, Astronomicon. Thank you. I'll give up this power, and humanity will live in peace as a scientific, enlightened race that we deserve to be. Yeah, that went real well, didn't it? One of your fucking sons decided to call you when he shouldn't have called, and opened up a portal to hell on Earth. Because you didn't trust your sons to have knowledge of the warp. Oh man, it's such a... Again, there's just all these angles of the story. The Horus Heresy novels aren't done. They're still putting them out. How many of those? Man, the Horus Heresy stuff's great. I'm a Space Wolves player, so I love Lehman Russ's stuff, but Wolves, how many? Kind of curious how many there are. I've never read any of the Horus Heresy novels. I've just read the bits. Yeah, where to start? You would think there's a book 1. Well, let's see. Began in 2006. 54 novels, 24 novellas, 47 audio dramas. So this is what I'm talking about with 40K. They put in the work to build a universe. They have done it. And they've done it in ways that are not terribly mainstream. And they've been able to survive because of the quality, consistency, and just what 40K kind of ends up discussing. They have not ever really trivialized it. I've read 2 of the Disney release trade paperbacks, which are collects of like 5 issues each, like they're miniseries. One on Marnius Calgar, head of the Ultramarines, and both of them were fine. They're nothing like the old Black Library comics that just felt straight out of 2000 AD, super grimy and grungy and like really indie kind of looking art and inking. It was just black and white. I've got a bunch of them behind me actually. I still want to do a review of them because I love 2000 AD feeling work, stuff from the 80s. It's just like it's a unique flavor we don't get anymore. It's like the 90s stuff without all the overindulgence and excess, which is most of the 90s stuff, to be fair, but it's got that feel to its line work without it being just like the 50 pouches, right? But yeah, man, I could guess over 40k forever. But I've only got like one buddy who I play 40k with, so it's the only person I can talk to about it. But like 54 novels, 24 novellas, 47 audio dramas, and a bunch of short stories written by over 19 authors. And they've kept it consistent, and they've built upon it, and they've allowed it to feed into both the rules of the work of the tabletop and what it means to have a faction in there, as well as the video games and all these different things, because the iconography is so inbuilt and the ideas conveyed by the iconography so inbuilt that as long as they stuck to those things, you could have narrative consistency. It's brilliantly structured. And that's just the Horus Heresy. That's literally a very small but exceedingly important section of just the Imperium, just mankind stuff. Oh man. Then you got, you got the history of orcs, you got the history of the Necrons, all the Xenos as they call them. All these different angles to approach this. I think it is wonderful and incredible, and it is the main inspiration for why I do build IronVerse Comics as it is. Because I saw and recognized, I'm sure many others have recognized, not only did this IP have this unlimited potential, but then they continue to execute on it. It's very rare that happens. You get Marvel, right? You get DC, right? And they didn't even start connected. They just started sewing it together at some point because they thought, hey, this might work. 40K started off interconnected. They didn't have to sew anything together because it was built from the ground up like that. I'm sure there are other things like that. Dungeons and Dragons comes to mind. But of course, Tolkien's work, period, right? I think any good, true world building really starts off like that. With Marvel and DC, there's so much retconning to make that work that, yeah, it ended up being good and it ended up working fine, but they haven't stuck to it. Whereas 40K and fantasy, in fact, until they ended fantasy, they started and continued. They have not wavered. There's other dimensions in 40K, but there's no multiverse. This is one large, massively millennia-spanning story. It's so good. Oh, you're a Grey Knights guy? Okay. As a Space Wolf guy, like, I respect the Grey Knights, but I fucking hate the Inquisition. The fact that they came down and were willing to exterminate the wolves over the wolves not wanting to exterminate a populace that didn't even see demons existed, simply they were on the same planet. Not the biggest fan. And the fact that I think it was 114 Grey Knights fought Angron back into the fucking warp alongside the wolves, and they still followed the Inquisition, saying that they were gonna kill everything. It's and none of the citizens saw what was going on. It was I mean, there's those kind of dilemmas in 40K that I love. You hate the Inquisition too. Yeah. Bro, you're giving too much credit. The OG Rogue Trader lore doesn't reconcile with the modern 40K. That's true. Rogue Trader had actual robots. Yep. No, that's true. It's true. Was it Tau Field AI? The Skitarii which are the new Adeptus Mechanicus faction. I'm pretty sure they field quote-unquote robots. But being the Adeptus Mechanicus, there's some kind of fleshy bit of person in there somewhere, because it's, they're super freaking religious, and AI is the devil. But, yeah, it makes sense. They did adapt. I'm giving them, for the ground up, that's fair. Rogue Trader. They did end up retconning. That is 100% true. I feel like, and you know what, it's spewing bullshit, but I feel like it certainly has had less gigantic pivots than any other mainstream IP universe. Now that could be wrong. Again, I don't 100% know. But you're right. You're right to call me out on that, Lazbar. 100% right. Yeah, I play Orcs, I play Space Wolves, I play Dark Angels, and I play Dark Eldar, or Drukhari as they're called now. I wanted a little bit of each. The Wolves are pretty noble but savage. The Dark Angels are noble but 100% guided on one specific mission, so they end up being complete pricks quite often. They're very cold and calculating. Then the Orcs are just fun. The Orcs are like the funnest faction in 40k. Like, they're brutal and savage, but they ain't evil. They're Orcs. They were built that way. They have their very specific belief, and it's not even to inflict harm in terms of we understand it. It's to prove might is right. It's weird. I love the Orcs for their lore. And then the Drukhari, though, they're like, oh, if we're evil, and they were already evil, they birthed the Dark God, then our souls don't get swallowed as quickly? Okay. And then they just fucking leaned into it for millennia. It's just and all the worst excesses. Like, it would be almost better to end up on a hell world than in the hands of the Drukhari. So yeah, I don't know. Eldar lore is great too. The craft world, trying to maintain their civilization by becoming isolationist, and it worked. They survived. But there's no good guys in 40k. Like, Commander Farsight for a little while was a good guy from the Tau. He was away enough from the pheromones of their higher religious caste that his mind actually was like, wait, are we the baddies? And he tried to rebel, and as far as I know, that's still ongoing. But again, I don't play much Tau, and I haven't read too much Tau lore. Quarks, exactly. Yep, it was Quarks. Yep. Post Brain Boys until they're like, well, we no longer have the Brain Boys, so we're just going to do what we were designed to do. And then I think the last what's been called a Primaris Orc, right, was the Beast, that Vulcan Primarch of the Salamanders actually reappeared to defeat, and actually harnessed Wa energy. He was the first non-orc to do that, to slay the Beast. And Vulcan. So there's another thing that kind of IronVerse Comics took. So Vulcan is what's called a perpetual. He cannot be killed. Jack Irons is a perpetual. He cannot be killed. It's a very similar concept. It's good that it's Vulcan that's the perpetual, to be fair. He's the most human of the Primarchs. He's the guy who's like, yeah, my Marines can also keep a family. They can fight for humanity. They don't have to be separated from them. There's just so many angles of I could gush over 40k forever. There are just so many really cool thoughts and mechanical movements over the years that they've put together that it is by far my favorite IP. There are some more specific ones I like for specific reasons, but in general, 40k is by far my favorite. You need Fulgurite weapons to do it, if I remember correctly. I haven't dove into perpetuals much. I've just heard a little bit about Vulcan, so I did not know that. Makes sense that there's a way to do it, because I also don't know of any other perpetuals, and I'm sure there are, because there's a term for it. It's funny the Emperor himself isn't a perpetual. I kind of find that odd. You would think I don't know if they retconned it, but he was the manifestation of what, like 10,000 shamans deciding and seeing a similar future in which they would be something, a savior would be needed, right? Super Christy. You get Sanguinius's lore as well. Super Christy. Um, there's a lot of biblical influence in 40K, like crazy amounts of it, and a lot of it's respectful, some of it not so much. But yeah, anyway, I could gush on 40K for hours. I've already done it for like 45 minutes, so that's plenty. If you're not into 40K, but any of the science fiction stuff sounds interesting, just dive into something that sounds cool. You like dwarves? Check out the League of Votann now, or Squats if you want to look at what they were. You like dragons? We were just talking about salamanders. That is a chapter built on that as their iconography. You like dogs? Space wolves. It's got a bit of that to it. There are some really, really awesome stuff, and there's an angle in there for nearly anybody. You like Hellraiser? Check out the Drukhari. There's all kinds of cool stuff in it. Can't recommend it enough, and I'll always be chasing that kind of vibe. Maybe not in terms of like gothic looks and all of that, but in terms of building a universe that well and with so many amazing moving parts. That's 100% something I want to chase. But yeah, one more time, I'm going to plug Dollcoin's amazing article that was released, was it yesterday? Day before? Yesterday. And I really recommend, if you are a comic creator or comic fan or manga fan, go ahead and read that. It's a short read, but he keeps up the pace. It's peppy. It's well thought out, and it also explores some really cool ideas. And with that, I think I'm going to close so I can get these dogs out. Sorry, I was just looking to... Scott sent me another different crop of the Recluse cover mock-up. Very cool. Yeah, I think I like that crop better too, if you're here, Scott. Did I get pages in while I was sitting here? That'd be dope. Nope. Not so cool. Alright. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else, but yeah, I could gush on 40K for hours. In fact, I've watched other people gush on 40K for hours. 4 hours. There are some amazing audio dramas as well. Oh, you know what I watched yesterday? Let me see if I can find it and I'll link it. I don't know if anybody else is a fan of Terry Pratchett, but he's another one who I just adore his universe. I watched this last night and had a blast. Let me see. Library. There it is. Big fan of Terry Pratchett. He's able to discuss really, really cool and deep ideas with such a resonant sense of humor. Yeah, I very much recommend watching this. The Weird Sisters, Terry Pratchett. Animated, so it can keep you if you watch it. Had about 3 moving parts. You have the sisters, you have a rivalry on the throne that ends up with somebody's death. And then you had the rightful heir coming up. But the ideas discussed in that are great. Christopher Lee voices Death, which is just perfect. As always, Christopher Lee, GOAT. Oh my god. He might have bullshitted about some stuff just to sound better, but he was GOAT. GOAT individual. Yeah, okay, dogs are bugging me. I gotta go, folks. I really appreciate you. Check out these things. Enjoy these things. Keep enjoying things. Find things to enjoy. Create things you enjoy. I love y'all. Vaya con Dios, amigos. And I will catch you later on. Take care. Adios.